Hey, it's Paris. You know, I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Regardless of whether or not you choose to dive deeper into human design, I think what it offers us is such a reminder that we are all wired so differently. And just noticing the areas where maybe you've been frustrated because you're trying to emulate someone else and it's not working, or you're feeling frustrated with a partner or a child because they're different than you and you want them to be the same. I think human design just reminds us that we are so, so different. And the more we tune into those differences, I think the more flow we find and also the more connected we feel to other people.
You're listening to Make Some Noise podcast, episode number 686 with guest Erin Claire Jones. Welcome to Make Some Noise podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm so glad that you are joining me today, that you're here. I've been doing some thinking lately, and as the world burns around us, I know that for some people, it is a personal shift as well. We've been seeing this for the last decade or so, and things have rapidly increased in terms of the political, cultural, societal shifts that are happening, not to mention the atrocities that are also happening. And I think that they're intersecting. The atrocities that are happening in the world and people's personal lives, like that intersection, what I am seeing in my clients is a feeling of lots of feelings: hopelessness, confusion, not knowing what to do. What is the best thing to do? It's overwhelming. And that is putting it very, very lightly. What I want to emphasize here is that if this is you, if you have come up to a point in your life where you almost feel like you're at a crossroads, but not necessarily, where you feel like you are being shown a mirror and you're kind of looking in it. And so this could look like maybe your parents are aging and maybe sick and you're not sure what is going to happen with that. Maybe you're thinking about leaving your marriage, or you have just left your marriage. Maybe you're thinking about completely shifting careers. Maybe you are an empty nester or thinking about dating again in this wild world after you've been single for a long time. You're at some kind of transition point. When that happens, I'm a firm believer, and I've seen this in my clients over the last almost 20 years and in myself. That is typically an invitation for us to show up for ourselves even more. But that's where it gets confusing. And you're like, I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't even know where to start. But I feel intuitively that there's something calling me in order to be the best version of myself, whether it is to be able to stand up for things in regard to social justice matters that matter to you, or environmental issues that matter to you, or political issues that matter to you, or to any other issue in your personal life that matters to you. Maybe it's boundaries. Maybe it is dropping the armor of control and perfectionism, or maybe self-sabotage. Any of those things, come and talk to me. This is a perfect opportunity for you to look into one-on-one work with me. This is my specialty. Calling people forth with so much compassion and encouragement and hype, and also pinpoint things that are specific for you. I do not use a cookie cutter approach. You can ask any of my clients. That is not how I work. It is always customized to you. This is where the benefit of my almost 20 years of experience comes in handy. So there's a couple of different options I have in terms of packages and what could be the benefit for you specifically. If you want to just send us an email, support@andreaowen.com, or DM me on Instagram and let's chat. I want to make sure that you know that I am here to support you. All right? All right. We have a repeat guest today. Speaking of personal growth, of your personal growth, Erin Claire Jones is back talking about human design. And the reason that I love this is because I geek out on stuff like this. Any kind of personality assessment, any kind of astrology, things like that, that can help you discover and accept who you naturally are as a human, and also what you can do to make choices for your life that are in better support for you and your destiny. So she's here going to talk about her new book. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation that I had with her. For those of you that don't know her, let me tell you a little bit about her. Erin Claire Jones is one of the world's leading experts in human design. Through her coaching, content, and digital products, she has empowered hundreds of thousands of people to overcome their biggest obstacles and find their flow at work, in love, and in life. Her personalized guides have been purchased by customers in over 160 countries. She has spoken on stages across the world, and her work has been featured in Forbes, Elle, The Sunday Times, Vogue, Allure, Nylon, and more. So without further ado, here is Erin. Erin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back here with you.
It's been a few years. Like I was looking when you were on, it's been a few, the pandemic makes everything weird. You know, it's like
confusing.
Was it 6 months ago? Was it 6 years ago? No one knows.
But what was it? Was it 6 years ago?
No, I know it was, I'm almost positive it was pre-pandemic, but I could be wrong there because that
probably
those years are fuzzy.
2019.
Probably somewhere around that. Yeah, when we were all just having a great old time. The brilliant news about you coming back on the show is that you wrote a book called How Do You Choose? A Human Design Guide to What's Best for You at Work, in Love, and in Life. And we're going to be talking about that today. And for those that aren't sure, can you give us like a brief, like is human design a horoscope? Like what is it?
So human design is a system like astrology based on your time, date, and place of birth.
Okay.
And think of it as like a mystical assessment tool. It basically gives you your energetic blueprint. How are you wired to make decisions and find opportunities and structure your day to day and leverage your strengths and navigate your challenges and so much more. So it really is, I would say, as practical as it is mystical. So it's based on our birth information, but the information it outputs and offers is so applicable to our day to day.
Thank you for explaining it that way, because that's the distinguisher that I feel like was missing from my way of explaining it. Because although I love horoscopes, I'm an Aries with Libra rising with a Gemini moon. But at the end of the day, like, is it super practical? Some of the information, not really. It's fun. But the thing I love about human design is like you can use it to lean into your strengths and at work and love and making decisions, which is a huge one.
I did a podcast with somebody yesterday who's an astrologer, and we were trying to like tease out the difference. And I feel like where we landed was like human design is super mechanical. It's like, these are your mechanics of how you move through your day to day, whereas astrology can shed a little bit more light on like your entire life and the cycles you're in. And human design, I think, helps you know how to navigate those moments.
Oh, I love that. That's a great way of putting it. Okay. So let's jump in. Like, I know that your book breaks down 5 quote unquote energy types. So can you give us a quick overview of what those are and maybe a little bit of insight in helping your human design? But wait, before we do that, can you, for people who are like on their phones and are not driving, is there a place where they can go to like find out what theirs is so they can follow along before you answer that question?
Absolutely. So you can look up your chart at humandesignblueprint.com. You'll need your time, date, and place of birth. If you don't know your precise time, I would use the closest approximate you know.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So the 5 energy types, can you give us a quick overview?
Of course. So the 5 energy types are manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. Type is such an integral piece of our chart, but it is also just the first piece. So just know that if you and your partner, you and your child are both generators, it doesn't mean y'all are the same. It just is the kind of first distinction before you go deeper. So generators and manifesting generators are the doers, the people that have so much energy to make things happen when they feel genuine excitement about what they're doing. Their excitement is very infectious. It's kind of, they leave everyone around them uplifted when they're really lit up. Both of those types have a lot of lessons to learn around boundaries because they are so capable. A lot can be placed on them and they can say yes to a lot. And they can overdo. So really learning how to be discerning and say yes when they feel like they genuinely feel available for it. Generators have this very kind of steady, masterful energy, kind of here to master the step-by-step process and bringing an idea to life. LeBron James is the example I use in the book, and I just think he embodies it really beautifully. Like, I mean, look at somebody who's like the most masterful at a sport of all time,
Yes.
but also has this like enduring passion and energy to make it happen. Manifesting generators, this is you,
It's me.
are quite multi-passionate. You are not really meant to kind of be in just one career or just one path for the course of your life. Like you're meant to keep pivoting and shape-shifting and changing direction and evolving. And it's important for things to remain fresh and exciting. And so often manifesting generators have been made to feel scattered or like they're doing too much because they
Mhm.
haven't chosen just one path. But that variety is the thing that brings you the most satisfaction. And manifesting generators tend to be quite fast, very efficient.
Oh,
So they
God.
can be a
Sorry,
little bit
everybody.
disappointed by others when others are not moving at their speed.
Plus, I'm an Aries. Is your human design type pretty much based on your astrological position with your sun sign, or can it be all over?
Totally separate.
Oh, interesting.
Like
Okay.
any astrological sign could be any human design. So
Okay.
astrology plays like a role in human design. It's one of the many systems that feed into it, but there are no direct correlations. It's not like I'm a Taurus
Gotcha.
sun and therefore a projector.
Okay. So you talked about generator and manifesting generator. That's two. What are the other three?
Well, also before I go into the other three, do you resonate with kind of the multi-passionate
100%,
nature
almost
of
embarrassingly. Yeah,
which
as
is
you were saying that, I was like, oh, this is why. So, in my industry, the smartest way to create a sustainable, profitable business is to rinse and repeat programs. How many times has Andrea rinsed and repeated a program? Approximately 0 times. Just, I get bored facilitating it. Like, I'm ready to move on. Like, my audience may be
yeah,
like, when are you going to teach that one program again? I'm like, too late. I've already moved on. And
totally.
yes, I do this with my entire life, and it's exhausting, but it also
hmm
keeps things fun and exciting. I'm rarely bored.
Totally. And that might be one of those things, and this might not be feasible, where it's like you kind of delegate the maintenance to someone else, where you can kind of keep bringing fresh things to life, because I'm sure there's so much value in every single version. But like, yes, you're right that like you're not going to have the energy to make it happen. Like you've been there, you've done it, on to the next.
Yeah.
So then we've got projectors. Projectors are very natural leaders, guides, teachers, not here to do all the doing. Projectors tend to be very wise about people, so good at making others feel seen and recognized. I would say a big lesson for projectors is to disentangle their worth from how hard they work and how much they do, and to really build
Oh,
space and rest and pause into their days. And as a projector myself, I'll speak about like how hard that is. I think projectors can be really susceptible to overdoing.
okay.
So really kind of allowing unproductive time in our days. Then we've got manifestors. Manifestors are very innovative, kind of bold people at their best, where they're meant to kind of tread their own path and not really follow what anyone else has been doing. They're really good at getting ideas started, but not necessarily at completing everything they begin. So
Mm,
really being in roles where they can kind of be in that innovative role is where they will likely thrive. And these are people, and you might resonate with some of this because you've got some of it in your design, but these people also need a lot of freedom, a lot of autonomy to kind of do what they want, when they want, how they want.
don't tell me what to do.
I know, just don't. There's like your design is very much that. And even looking at your design, and this is beyond your type, you're like not somebody I would say who's super well suited to work for a company or work for other people. It doesn't mean you can't, but you've got like so much creative energy that having somebody else tell you where to put it is probably going to be the most frustrating thing ever.
Yeah.
And then we've got reflectors, the final type and the rarest type. And these people are evaluators. They just see, sense, and feel things that most people miss. So they do really well in positions where they're kind of observing and offering their reflections on what's happening. And they are so sensitive to their physical space. And
Hmm.
so and you actually have parts of this too. This is all a reminder of how much our chart extends beyond our type. But reflectors have to be very ruthless curators of where they're spending time and who they're spending it with, because they will take in that energy around them so deeply.
I've had to learn those. I call those emotional and energetic boundaries. Big lesson.
So those are kind of high level 5 types.
Okay. So humandesignblueprint.com, you guys, if you want to see what yours is and then rewind and listen to that again. I want to ask you something that's a little bit niche to my audience in particular. And it's part of because I've been having a lot of conversations about this topic, because I've been through it, is struggling with self-abandonment and like doing what others expect instead of what they really want. So given that example, like how can human design help someone rebuild that self-trust and operate more from their
Mm.
own truth?
Yeah. Well, I think it will likely reframe things to help you recognize that when you operate from that self-truth, like it actually benefits everybody else way more, and you're not doing it to benefit them. But like it is like you will be at your best in a way that kind of allows you to have an impact that you're meant to. It
Mhm.
also helps us know how to kind of connect to what's true to us. Like I would say, looking at your design, and this is beyond being a manifesting generator, like you're actually meant to be very healthily selfish with the way that you use your energy. Because the thing for you is like your energy, like I said, is so infectious. Like when you are actually lit up and excited and have strong boundaries and saying yes to what you're available for, like your energy lights up an entire room.
Mhm.
If you are self-abandoning, if you're saying yes to things you don't have the energy for, if you're saying yes to appease or out of obligation, it is the quickest path to burnout. I think often in really knowing what's right for us, it gives us so much more energy to show up, and so much more energy to have an impact. So I think it's just a reframe to like, that's not like a
Giving them
self.
permission. Yeah.
Yes. Like
Hmm.
it is a thing that will make you feel so much better, but also like, I think will help you attract the right people in your life as well. Like I think of manifestors who are here to be like super bold and super unapologetic. And like, if they're like really trying to people please and ask for permission, like it's so hard for anyone to really experience them or be impacted by them. But
Yeah.
if they are big and bold, like they are going to push away plenty of people, no doubt. And they're also going to like attract all the people that are actually like inspired by their power and like ready to respect it. So I also think when
Mm.
we show up in a way that feels true, it also means that we make ourselves available for people that really see us. And that's been a big lesson for me as a projector.
That's so fascinating. I never thought about it that way, but I appreciate that a lot. Well, another pattern that I see, even in myself, that I've hopefully successfully broken now that now that I'm 50 and I lovingly say that I collect ex-husbands. I've a couple of them now. They struggle with the pattern of relationships, and more specifically, like feeling unseen, overgiving, choosing partners who don't and will probably never go to the depths emotionally that they want to. And so how can human design shine a light on those types of patterns and help them shift?
Mm. In terms of being with people that just don't meet them.
Choosing, like, hopefully choosing the right partner, because I think that in the beginning, like what
Mhm.
I've noticed is that like
Yeah.
we choose partners subconsciously, and
Yeah.
we choose the same pattern over and over again. So like when people finally, which I think a lot of my listeners are probably at that place where they're like, okay, here's my pattern,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Totally.
Work on loving and accepting yourself too. But like, how can knowing more about their own human design help them really lean into creating a different pattern for themselves in terms of their relationships?
What I think of is there's a part of our chart called our authority, which speaks to how we're meant to best make decisions.
Ooh.
And it's a piece the book goes deeply into, but it's also honestly why the book is called How Do You Choose? Because
Yeah.
I think so often we don't know how to choose, or we basically don't trust what we already know.
We don't
And I
trust what
think,
we already know. Thank you for
yeah,
saying that.
yeah. So I
I need to
think
pause on that.
but it's true. It's one thing to know a thing and another thing to like then act on the thing. I tell a
Right.
story in the book about somebody who's a gut decision maker. And when she came to me, she was like about to get married, but was feeling really confused. And it
Mm.
became immediately clear in our conversation based on her gut feeling that she did not want to marry this person.
Yeah.
And I remember asking, and when did you know he wasn't right for you? And she said, from the minute I entered the relationship. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's 2.5 years later. So it is, and that's not like a remarkable story, and that like this is a really common pattern. And
It's very
so
common.
it's why the book is focused on decision making, because I think when we choose the right things from the outset, it's pretty obvious that things in our life will unfold a bit better. But when
Hmm.
we're choosing out of obligation or all these other patterns, then like we might have to eventually extricate ourselves from something we could have known earlier was never right for us. So let me just use you as an example to your question. Looking at your chart, you are what we call an emotional authority. It means that you are somebody who's meant to choose in a very kind of gut-based way, meaning that somebody might show up and they might make all the sense on paper, and yet
Hmm.
their body's just like, no. Or your
Oh,
body's like,
yes, I've
yes.
experienced that so many times.
And you are somebody that like is actually not to be meant to be very impulsive or instantaneous, whereas many people are like you're meant to take on like have courtship and like time and space to feel into somebody on all your moods and in all your kind of different states, and really making sure somebody feels good over time. So when I would look at you, I would advise when entering a new relationship, like one, make sure they feel so fully correct in your gut and just take
Mhm.
your time. Like don't rush into any of it. And so sometimes knowing that can help us avoid those patterns. Those patterns can still come up for sure. But I guess I'm curious, when you think about your previous marriages, like, do you feel like you were choosing from a clear yes in your gut? And did you take your time entering into them?
Both of them, no. Well, and it's interesting because I tend to be impulsive, and I don't know if that's just the Aries in me or just like my personality removed from human design, but I tend to jump before I think things through. My mom
Yeah.
jokes and says Andrea loves to run around corners with her arms wide open but her eyes closed, and she's not wrong. Like that's what I do, and it's bitten me in the ass a million times. But in terms of relationships, like that goes back to the self-abandonment question. Like I've walked away from myself in order to walk towards a relationship that I felt was right for various reasons, whether we had a lot of history, whether I just wanted to get married and have babies, whether it was all good on paper, whether they were an opposite person of that I had before. So I'm like, this person doesn't behave like my ex, so surely they're right for me. But all the while my body was like, girl, no. But I was like, it's fine. I'll make it work. Like that's been my history up until 2 years ago when I left my second marriage.
You just like are a very visceral body-based decision maker. This is just not true for all of us. Some of us find clarity through our voice, but for you, it is so visceral, it is so physical. And what I would actually advise for anybody that has this sacral or emotional authority, which basically this is a generator or manifesting generator, you can have either. You are somebody that also might find it easiest to access your truth when you're posed very specific questions. So if I was sitting with you kind of in maybe the moment of you being unsure, I would literally just ask you, do you want to stay in this marriage?
Yeah.
Does this still feel like the right thing for you? And it is so wild that often I'll sit with clients and they'll kind of talk around an issue for 20 minutes and I'll say, do you still want to be in it? They're like, no. Like the answer is that clear.
Oh yeah.
Again,
100%.
trusting a different thing, but being able to access it. And I think something else that human design does in a really cool way is that it helps us know all the areas in which we can get taken off track. And so for you, like one, and again, take or leave any of this, as you know, I'm so not dogmatic about the system. What matters most to me is that it's useful, not whether it's true, but the things that come up in your design. One is that you might hold on to things for too long, that letting go is especially hard.
Yeah.
Two,
detachment is like my number one life lesson that I've struggled with.
big lesson for you, also a lesson you're here to teach. As hard as it is for you to let go, you have such a gift for teaching others how to let go.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a tendency you have, which so many of us share, of needing to prove yourself. And so really disconnecting from that in relationships and making sure you're not saying yes from that need to prove, or even showing up in a way that you need to prove. And you're also somebody that like might find that you tend to be searching for like the perfect person or the perfect partner, the perfect thing. And so much of your journey is like letting go of like the need to find the one thing and just like letting yourself continue to shapeshift. So I find it also useful in helping us know the areas where we can get taken a little bit off track.
I love that. Oh my gosh. You like write a thesis with one answer to a question. We need to take a quick ad break. When we get back, I'm going to share with the audience 2 questions that I got asked during therapy, which are speaking to what you just said. We'll be right back. If you're a woman over 40 dealing with perimenopause, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. Did you know there are so many perimenopause symptoms? Hot flashes and night sweats, trouble sleeping, painful sex, vaginal dryness, and libido change, weight and body changes, brain fog and memory lapses, moodiness, anxiety and depression, period problems, hair and skin changes, joint pain, bone loss, and fracture risk. The experts at MIDI Health understand what you're experiencing and know how to help. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions. Visits and prescriptions are covered by major insurance providers, no membership fees or hidden costs. If you're uninsured or Medicare is out of network under your plan, they also offer affordable cash payment for services. I know for me, as I'm about to turn 50 in 2025, finding a doctor that specializes in perimenopause and menopause is incredibly important. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
Carla only.
Did you know that when your metabolism is working properly, you feel it in every area of your life? Your energy, your focus, even your sleep? I found a tool that helps me understand what's going on in my body every day, and it's called Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It measures your metabolism through your breath. Yep, just one breath, and shows you whether you're burning fat or carbs. The app then gives you personalized guidance for nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. You just breathe into it first thing in the morning, and then you've got real-time insight into how your body's doing. You can also use it before and after meals or workouts to stay on top of your health game. Your metabolism is your body's engine, and when it's running efficiently, you definitely feel the difference. Lumen even adjusts its recommendations based on your cycle or menopause stage, so your body stays supported through all the shifts. I've started using Lumen in the mornings to see how my sleep affects the way my body functions. On days I sleep well, I can literally see in real time how my body's working more efficiently. It's like a check-in with my body that actually gives me answers. The warmer months are coming. Spring back into your health and fitness. Go to lumen.me/noise to get 10% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/noise for 10% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Okay, you were talking about how is it manifesting generators and generators that are helped a lot with like those direct questions to check in, like see like the first answer that comes to them. I love coaching clients where, especially on video, where I can see them talk because like their entire facial expression and body language will change. And they look more certain. They look like they're in complete authority. They look like they're in their power when they answer a question, even if what comes out of their mouth has been different than what they've been saying or wrote in their intake, or, you know, like the answer that they're trying to convince themselves is true. I love it when the opposite comes out and it's like, that was your intuition. That was your wisest part that just talked. So I got asked 2 questions in marriage counseling. And the first one was our marriage counselor asked us, are both of you willing to come at this, you know, next however many months of marriage counseling with an open heart? And my immediate answer, I said, absolutely not. That surprised me. Like, as someone who prides herself on being compassionate and giving people the benefit of the doubt and giving people the dignity of their own process, like all these things that I do practice a lot, it was so helpful for that to come out of my mouth authentically, because it showed me and the other 2 people in the room, the counselor and my husband, where I was at. Like, I was so closed off. I was so done. I was so already in the grief process. And that was the very first session. And then 10 months later, he asked me, like, are you willing to accept him exactly the way he is right now with no changes, like nothing changes at all? And I said, yes, I am, because I feel like everyone deserves that dignity. And if that's the case, then I can't stay here anymore. And when I tell you the awkward silence that happened after that, like that was our answer. That question will haunt me. Like, are you willing to accept this person exactly as they are now if they don't change? I think that's good for anybody in a marriage where they want things to change.
Totally.
And yeah, so that's just 2 examples of like big, curious questions.
Yeah. And also just those are so powerful. And I think just the clarity of your answers, because I think it also part of the kind of specific yes, no question, the value of that for generators and manifesting generators is it basically helps you bypass your mind and get you straight into your gut and know what you're actually available for. So it's so interesting. It's like, can you approach this with an open heart? And it's like, you weren't available for it, you know, for whatever reasons, for all the things that had happened. And again, the second time, like it is, we can convince ourselves in or out of basically anything. So, you know, the point is not to like devalue the power of the mind. It's just to say like, use your mind powerfully in ways to like inspire other people, but like trust what your body already knows. And we all have different ways of connecting to it. So it's really so powerful to hear those examples where like you were asked a straight question and you're like, the answer is probably what nobody wants to hear. And
not even me.
Right. And yet is really undeniable. And I also loved what you shared around working with clients because, and I share a bit about this in the book too, but like, when you get to know your partners or your kids or your friends or your colleagues' authority, you can like really start to support them in that. Like when my husband has a gut authority too, and like you can kind of start to see him like lean in and kind of like this like animation and this excited like energy versus kind of like a deflation and exhaustion when it's a no. And for some people, it's just like speaking things out. And like you said, it's like one sentence will come out. You're like, there it is. So it's so helpful to know how to best support others.
Yeah. Okay. And it sounds like that's what human design helps you do. Learn to support others as well as yourself.
That's right.
Okay. So you mentioned authority. You talk about that a lot in human design. Can you share what those are and why they matter more specifically when it comes to decision making, like we were just talking about?
Why the authorities matter.
Yeah. Why does the authority matter? And are there 5 different kinds? Does everybody get their own flavor? What does that look like?
7 different authorities.
Oh, okay.
And so this is where things start to branch out. So every type will have a certain number of authorities that are available to them. So generators and manifesting generators have just two possible authorities, trusting their gut feeling in the moment or trusting their gut feeling over time.
Oh,
Pro- Year over
this is why I
time.
hate doing research, because I'm like, no, I'll just ask my
Exactly. It's
intuition.
as simple as that. Projectors have like 5 different authorities, possible ones. So it's really
Oh,
varied. But in terms of your question of why it's important, and again, this is why I named the book, How Do You Choose? I just think we're all making decisions every day. And I think, big and
many.
small. And I think that often a lot of us feel indecisive when it's not that we're indecisive. We just don't know how the right way of accessing our truth.
Mm.
And I think we often can know our thing and then kind of talk ourselves out of it. And I think when we know how to choose correctly is not the right word here, but choose in a way that feels empowered, choose in a way that feels true. I think it just brings us into the right experiences, the right people. It doesn't mean things will like work out, but like it will bring us into the things we're meant to be in and like allow us to know when to leave.
Okay.
But I think when we're choosing from a more mental, rational, logical place, like we just talk ourselves out of what we know to be true. And so I think it helps us navigate our day to day in a way that feels better and we're more confident and clear in our decisions. And also, like, I would say it just frees so much energy. Like, I'll use you as an example again here. You are a gut-based decision maker, but in your design, you're somebody who's got a very powerful, very active mind, like a very natural storyteller, lots of ideas to share, which is so cool. But like your mind's always going. And so like if you use all that mental energy to try to solve the puzzle of your own life, it might drive you crazy. But if you
I concur.
you can test, yeah. But if you delegate decision making to your gut, and like free up your mind to just be the source of inspiration and exploration for other people, that's amazing. Because like you're going to be like a very inspiring storyteller who like brings so many new ideas and possibilities to other people. So I also feel like it allows us to really tap into our gifts and kind of stop wasting energy turning decisions over and over again in our head when we just already know.
Yeah. Okay. So because I have a lot of overthinkers here that are listening. And so can you just give some like quick, maybe some common other authority ways that the authority works for people?
So this just very high level, we've got sacral authorities who are meant to trust their gut feeling in the moment. So unlike you, as soon as that gut feeling comes, they can act. No need to sleep, no need to wait. Like it is just there and it is true. Okay. My husband has this and I find it so amazing and also so annoying because there are just moments when I'm just like I tell a story in the book of we were looking for an Airbnb for the holidays a couple years ago. And I showed him all these like gorgeous Airbnbs. And it was just like, no. And I was like, come on, like we need to book a place. And then finally we're like in the car on the way to a friend's house in Brooklyn. And I pull up this Airbnb with no listings. And he's like, yes, book it. I was like, what? And like I book it on the spot and it turned out to be like the most magnificent place. We like literally tried to buy the Airbnb. Like we thought it was so amazing. But it was such a good lesson for me that like it is not a full-bodied yes until it's a yes. But then when it's a yes, it's like all the way.
Okay.
So basically just like not moving until it's a full-bodied gut yes and kind of really trusting that because if you don't trust it in the moment, you might start questioning it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Go ahead.
Then we've got emotional authorities. That's you and me. So we're different types, so we share an authority. So that means you and I are really meant to sleep on things and feel into things, especially when it comes to the bigger decisions. When I say sleep on things, I would say 1 to 3 days. It's not like a, indefinite situation, but it's just months. It's just giving yourself a moment for your emotions to settle and make sure that your initial instincts holds true. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but this is because we can be quite emotional people. And so when we are in an emotional high, we might be tempted to be like, yes, I'm in, this is amazing.
100%. Yes.
And then you wake up, totally. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, I don't really want that. And so just like building in a little buffer time helps you settle into what actually is true for you.
I'm having a hard time sort of describing. So in this new relationship, we've been together for 10 months. I lovingly refer to him. His anonymous name is Dr. Fox. It wasn't like a love at first sight. It was different than any love that I've experienced before in that the way I describe it, it was the most easy and natural yes I've ever said. Does that mean like I knew by the first date? No, which would be a really beautiful story. All I knew was that I was very much interested in seeing him again and learning more about him. I was intensely curious and excited, but it was also off brand for me to like want to go on a second date the next day. I had been dating and I've been like, you're lucky if you get to see me in a week. Like, I was very much in my big prize energy, but it was the next day. We went on a really long hike. And so by the third date, which was a handful of days after that, I sat across from him at a restaurant and it was like a full body, like, yes, I am smitten with this man. And that was 10 months ago. And so I think that's a good example of sort of like what that looked like. It wasn't like your husband's decision, which for him, it might be like first date, first initial 10-minute meeting. But for me, it was like a few hours and a few days, a few hours together over a few days. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful example. Yeah. And it's easy to be like, oh, it should be immediate. And it's like, no, it's just like what you want is like what feels good over time? Like once like everything settle, like and the dust clears, what feels true now?
Yeah.
So that's just it's so cool to hear.
Thank you.
So then we've got splenic authorities. These people are very fast, spontaneous.
Did you say
impulsive.
splenic?
Splenic, SPLENIC.
Okay.
Also known as splenic. I know. Weird names.
Does it have to do with the spleen?
It does.
Oh, okay.
In that it's like connected to the spleen center in human design. But it basically is around making decisions very quickly based on your intuition, which is different than the gut in the human design world. The gut is like a very visceral feeling in your belly that pulls you toward or pushes you away. The splenic authority is all about like a quiet whisper. It's like a voice that you hear, tingles that you feel. It kind of arrives out of nowhere.
Okay.
And these people have to really spend time away from others to hear it because it's so freaking quiet. Then we've got ego authorities. They're meant to choose based on like what they have the will to make happen, like what they want, what they desire. Like you often know something's right for them when they're like, I have to do this. I must do this. Like there's like a undeniable conviction under their words. And so it's like really what their heart is pulling them towards and where they feel kind of very valued in return. Self-projected authorities and actually mental authorities are both meant to talk things out. They really kind of find their truth by just speaking things aloud and seeing how it feels to say the words out loud. So it's not about how somebody's responding. It's about how it literally feels to say it out loud.
Mm-hmm. I think I have a little bit of that. Like I process out loud. I just attributed that to the fact that I'm an extrovert and I'm just a yapper.
Totally. I laugh because my toddler is like the biggest yapper I've ever met in my whole life. And I'm just like loving yapping always. Because I'm just like, anyways, she's a manifesting generator like you, not super design, not surprising. And then we've got wait a lunar cycle or none authorities. And they're meant to give themselves a full month before they choose, which can feel pretty wild to a lot of us. And yet when I speak to these people, these are reflectors. They're always just like, yeah, 100%, you know? And so for them, they might not always be able to give themselves that full month. But I think what's most important is that they're really kind of choosing based on their own timeline as much as possible and not kind of getting lost in others' pressure because they're just so sensitive to other people's feelings. So it can be very easy for them to choose based on how others feel about a relationship or an opportunity. So really giving themselves space to kind of disentangle others' feelings from their own.
I have a friend who is just like that. And I bet that her authority is that one. So that's fascinating. Okay. Can we shift gears and let me ask you about work? So you've told us a lot about this and like how people make decisions and how people choose, but how can they use it to get clear on their, I hate using the word purpose, but I'm going to use it for the sake of this question, or align their work with who they are instead of what they think they should be, or even like with the career they've been in?
Totally. Well, maybe I'll talk a little bit about just kind of the gifts of each type in the context of work.
Yeah.
Because that might kind of help people. Because I will say there are like a bajillion different things to look at in the chart, but I think that each type does have really distinct gifts. And so that can kind of help you know whether you're in alignment or where something might need a shift.
Yeah, before you jump in, we need to take one last ad break. And then when we get back, I would love to hear about all of them. So we'll be right back.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
The McDonald's snack wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch snack wrap. Spicy snack wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Okay, we're back. So you were going to tell us about the gifts of all of them and how someone can align that with their work.
Yes. Okay. So let's start with generators. Generators, like I said, are very natural doers. The signal they are on track in their work is satisfaction. Like these are people that wake up and they're kind of meant to just use up their energy throughout the day in ways that feel deeply satisfying, and they kind of drop into bed delightfully spent. they're like, I left it all on the table, all on the field. Now I can like
Yes.
sleep well at night. And so when it comes to work, I would actually ask yourself, like, what feels most satisfying to do? Like what just like gives you energy to do? And it could be like, you know, being an artist, or it could be working at a hotel or working at a cafe. Like it could be coding, but like, what is the thing that just like you feel naturally drawn towards that you can't explain why?
Yeah.
Like these people are really kind of meant to trust that undeniable gut pull. And so they might find that like they've got a very specific idea in mind of like a career that they want to pursue. And then like something else shows up and they're like, but I feel drawn to that in ways I can't explain. Like you're very much meant to follow that. But I would say the signal that you know whether you're in alignment is if you drop into bed at night and you feel like delightfully spent and fulfilled, and you feel like you like can sleep soundly, like that's a great indicator that you're using your energy so well. If you drop into bed and you're feeling like a little bit restless, a little bit depleted, like you just still have energy to give, I would check in on how you're using your energy and what else you can kind of add or subtract.
So that was generator.
Yes, manifesting generator is like you're going to thrive in a career where like you can pivot and change direction and you're not being judged for that. Like you're here to try things out and let things go. You're also going to do well in a career where you can move really fast and don't have to handle every single step. In an ideal world, you can like hand things off and like kind of more of the methodical step by step. So you're going to move fast and be in your flow. I would prioritize for you like variety, freshness, excitement, and space for change and evolution.
Okay. So like art teacher / CEO energy.
Yeah, I love that. When you think about your current work through that lens, does it feel like it fits that? Like, have you
100%. And when you said something like you can change course and no one judges you for it, my first thought was accept myself, because like I still have a lot of that social conditioning of just like, God damn it, pick one thing, Andrea. You know, just pick one thing and run with it. You're smart. You can figure it out. And then also like there's a voice that tells that I worry about that people are going to think I'm flaky or that I don't know what I'm doing if I'm changing course. When the reality is like, I am incredibly passionate about the course that I am going on. But I keep getting advice from some of my colleagues. They're like, why don't you like ride the wave all the way in? Like, why don't you just like, try. And I'm like, I don't want to. I really don't want to. It makes me deeply uncomfortable to not shift.
And there's so many parts of your chart that reflect that. Like I would say, you know, I wrote an email today that's around the fact that so often manifesting generators have like been made to feel scattered when like it's just a reflection of like their need for variety and change. And also like I will say in your design specifically, you are like somebody who might feel like you've got to find a purpose, but your design is around the fact that you're going to have like 1,000 different purposes over the course of your life. And so the question to ask yourself is never like, who am I and what am I here to do? But like, what feels the most like me right now?
Yeah. I even wrote an entire podcast, or I did an entire podcast episode. I did a series of 10 right before I turned 50. And I called it like coming home to yourself. These are like 10 major life lessons I've learned in 50 years. And one of them is about life purpose. And the question I pose is, what if there's not just one life purpose? What if your entire evolution is your purpose? Like you evolving and becoming the person that you were meant to be, like that your life purpose is to come home to yourself, whatever that looks like for you. And trust me, you are likely going to find it in middle age. Be patient. You're not there yet. But like, would you agree with that? Like in regard to human design even?
Oh, yeah. Like there are some people that do like might find that they have a bit more of a like fixed path versus others that might have a path that's like ever evolving. But like, yeah, I think it's never really about finding the purpose. It's about like feeling aligned in that moment.
Yeah.
And like allowing that moment to keep changing. And I would just say, again, most especially you, it's like you're meant to shapeshift in so many ways. And also like you're meant to your prime at 50 and beyond. But yes, I think there's a lot of pressure to find the one thing. And I think that's not really what it's about. It's about like finding alignment in the moment and letting it continue to change.
All right. So we left off at manifesting generators.
Correct. So projectors, I would say that they really thrive in roles of leadership. Like these are very natural coaches, teachers, managers, where they're kind of like stewarding other people's energy. I would say you are going to thrive in roles where you feel valued, not for like how many hours you're putting in, but the perspective and insight you're bringing. That could be in a bajillion different ways. You know, for me, that's through my work in human design. That could be as an artist. That could be as an influencer. That could be so many different, lanes. But I would say that like you feel like really valued for like your perspective and how you're looking at the world. And that's really being asked for. And it feels sustainable. You're not burning yourself out. Manifestors, like their gift is getting things started. So like they're going to do well in roles where like they are valued for like how disruptive and innovative they are. Like
taking lots of risks.
Yeah. And inspiring change in their environment. Like I tell stories in my book about so many manifestors I've worked with who've been in more corporate environments, and they can struggle when they like see all the change that needs to happen, but nobody's listening.
Yeah.
And so like they need to kind of be in places where that initiating new ways of doing things is seen as one of their biggest gifts. And then reflectors, like, similar to projectors in many different ways, like their gift is their perspective and really observing a space and seeing what could be improved. And that could be like as an activist, kind of observing what's happening in society and how things could be made better. It could be observing what's happening in a group as a facilitator or in an individual as a coach. But like they just are like tuning into the subtleties in a way that a lot of people miss. And so really being in a role where, again, they feel really valued for that. And they are not expected to show up in the same way day after day because that's the most unnatural thing for them.
Oh my gosh, I could hear about this all day long, every day. But just again, everybody, the book is How Do You Choose? A Human Design Guide to What's Best for You at Work, in Love, and in Life. Of course, that link will be in the show notes. Before we close out, is there anything that you want to either circle back to or just say in order for you to feel complete?
I think I would just say that, like, regardless of whether or not you choose to dive deeper into human design, I think what it offers us is such a reminder that we are all wired so differently. And just noticing the areas where maybe you've been frustrated because you're trying to emulate someone else and it's not working, or you're feeling frustrated with a partner or a child because they're different than you and you want them to be the same. I think human design just reminds us that we are so, so different. And the more we tune into those differences, I think the more flow we find and also the more connected we feel to other people.
Yeah. And I think too, I think one of my biggest takeaways in this conversation is human design can be a real tool to bring you to the path of self-acceptance.
100%.
And that's so important. Right. I can't tell you how much my life changed when I really leaned into that lesson of like, what would happen if it's the same question that I talked about that the therapist asked me, like, would you be able to accept this person exactly as it's like, would you be able to accept yourself exactly as you are? And I think with tools like human design, can become such validating and help us look at and learn to love the parts of ourselves that we have historically disliked and tried to change.
Yes, totally. And I think that just like, it gives us so much permission to be who we are. And it kind of stops making us wrong for all these things of like, oh, like, projectors feeling guilty for rest when like rest is their pathway to creativity and inspiration, or manifesting generators feeling too scattered when variety is their greatest need. So I think it just allows us to really accept, like you said, exactly who it is we are and give ourselves so much more permission to step into it.
And to step into like what fuels us. Like that's, I feel like what you just described, rest
totally.
for certain people, variety for other people. And that can be helpful. Like what is the thing that gets me at my best?
Yes.
Yeah. Which our social conditioning might have told us the opposite. So I love that. All right. So humandesignblueprint.com. Anywhere else that you want to send people to learn more about your work? Or is it just that?
Humandesignblueprint.com is great. We have a discount code also.
We have a discount code, everybody.
What do we do? Noise is the discount code. And you can use that on our custom guides that are kind of downloads into your unique chart, and then also our courses.
Okay. So there's custom guides that go deeper than just what your type is.
They go into every piece of the chart. And so like, think about like, it's more just like, you're like, I want a book all about me and how I work. There are 400,000 possible variations of that. So very custom.
Oh, so it's kind of like having your whole natal chart read if you're going into astrology. Gotcha.
That's right. And then the book is very much an exploration of like, how can you actually use this system in your career, your relationships, your parenting, and really kind of apply it. Okay.
So the discount code, if they go to, and if there's any programs on there that they want, if they enter the discount code noise, they get how much off?
10% off.
10% off. Yay. Okay. So of course that information will be in the show notes, everyone. If you didn't jot it down, head on over there. And thank you so much for being here, and congrats on the book.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I know how valuable your time is, and I am so grateful for that. And remember, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye for now. Hey, did you know there's free secret podcast episodes waiting for you that are not part of my regular podcast feed? Yes, AndreaOwen.com/free. And you just sign up. You get a link sent to you. It's very secret. It's like a secret club. We don't have a secret handshake. Don't worry about that. But it's these motivating podcast episodes that I made for you. They're under 20 minutes each. There's 3 of them. They're for wherever you are in your life. So head on over there and grab them. They range from really supporting you and seeing you where you are and being compassionate, all the way to giving you a giant kick in your ass and telling you how amazing and gorgeous and phenomenal you are. So AndreaOwen.com/free and get your hands on that free podcast feed.